Work-life balance is making YouTube videos with your baby in the background who's trying to watch TV, but also wants you to hold him and breastfeed him. Hey beauties, my name is T and welcome to my channel, The Paybook Stylist. Today we're going to get into talking about work-life balance, which I have none, according to my fiance, but no, seriously. But anyways, we're going to talk about how over the years I've had to get myself together and really get to the bottom of why I was so consumed with work and not really taking care of myself when it comes to being an entrepreneur. The reason why I even became an entrepreneur is to have freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and how I want it. But I figured, I've realized that I soon became a slave to my business. Now let's get into it. So you guys are gonna watch me do my makeup while I talk about the 4 ways I've been working on, or the 4 steps I've taken to kind of work on creating a healthy work-life balance for myself and how this may help you. So,
first off,
I had to accept that I was a workaholic. My family is of Sierra Leonean descent. That is a country in West Africa. And they came here as immigrants and they were, of course, looking for a better life here in the States.
You want something, go get it. Period.
So when they came here, of course, their priority was hustle and grind so they could make a better life for themselves. That's all I saw growing up. So that is what I'm accustomed to. My parents are such workaholics and they grinded so much. They instilled in me that, you know, in order for you to get it, you gotta work. And I really do appreciate my parents for this, because one thing that they did teach me was to have work ethic. So I am someone, I have no problem with working. I have no problem with getting down and dirty. I have no problem with making that coin, okay? But watching that also made me become overconsumed with work. I mean, my entire life, wrong thing. My entire life start off with a hydrating spray I'm using County Leave. That's totally, don't mind me guys, I'm new to YouTube. I'm new to video, so I'm gonna give you guys the bad and the good. I'm not deleting none of the the mistakes, bloopers, whatever. You guys are gonna see this live and in the flesh. So yes, back to it. I was used to my parents grinding all the time, getting to that money. So then I became overconsumed with work. Because of that, I worked so much and made so much money starting at the age of 19 that I touched money that most 19-year-olds wouldn't. That was what, 2009 that I was 19? Yep, 2009. And I made so much money since I worked so much. At the time I was working at the Library of Congress and doing hair, but then I finally quit because I wanted to focus on hair. So because I wanted to focus on hair, I dived in head first, taking clients anytime that I could. And at the time, of course, because I'm young, there was no issues, there were no problems. I loved it. I was touching a lot of money. Of course, if you watched my first YouTube video, but you need to go back and watch, I'm going to leave the link below. You know that I said, then you know that I, by the age of 23, was working and in hair school. So I was doing something, hustling and grinding around the clock. So when I was in hair school, I was in hair school at Badazz. Step 1 was accepting that I did have an issue with even realizing that I needed to balance my work-life schedule. Now, the next thing that I had to do in order for me to really accept that was to then find out why, or what was the root of me becoming so overconsumed with work. Like, why was I such a workaholic? Of course, yes, I already explained that, you know, that's what I saw growing up, so it became normal to me. But I also had to find the root problem or the root issue as to why I thought it was okay for me to make my life around work and not really live my life to the fullest, or even have a purpose in life, and just think that everything had to be about work, money. All right, so with me doing that, I just recently got into therapy, and doing that, it really made me have to face some of my demons from when I was younger, right? And there are some things that I've compartmentalized and I've walked away, and I can't get this open. So normally I use this to hydrate my lips, but I'm gonna use something kind of simple today, just twist top. And so I had to face my demons, like I was saying, and see, what was the root of the problem. So I ended up finding out, or realizing, or having the epiphany during the therapy session that I'm a people pleaser. And that stems from my parents. My parents, like I said, they were the first in their families to come to America. They were really big on, making a name for yourself, education, becoming wildly successful. And I was that kid in school where I was very good in my classes. I got straight A's. I graduated principal's honor roll. I got honor roll from the day I started school to the day I ended school. And it was just because I wanted to make my parents happy. So my parents, of course, they didn't want me to do hair and makeup for a living.
I'm quitting medical school.
You're jumping out of what? Are you mad or crazy? So you want to fool for a living over my dead body?
They wanted me to go to college, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm glad they even took the push to make sure that I had, something to fall back on just in case hair and makeup didn't work out, although I didn't finish. This is a primer. So I was just adamant at always being the best that I could be. I was very competitive when it came to education. I always wanted to make sure I was the top of my class. I wanted to make sure my parents always knew that I was one of the best. So, I was always studying. I was always reading. I was always doing something. But not only just because I was a people pleaser, also watching my parents. They were younger parents, and from where they started and where we started, we used to live sometimes, we lived with my grandfather, we lived with my aunt. We would all live, and it'd be like 10 of us in like a 2-bedroom apartment, or 10 of us in a house. And to this day, shout out to my family for showing us that, sometimes you gotta use your other family members as a crutch in order for you to get to the next step. So, watching them come from that and then get to where they are now. My dad easily can make $80,000 a month. My mom, she, her cap is at almost 150, almost 200,000 a year. So just watching them go from that to that also made me realize, like, I want to be like my parents. I want to be successful as they have, as they are, not even as they have, they are successful, and I wanted to show them that I could do it too. And then, leaving my parents' house at the age of 20 and just, trying to bootstrap everything for myself because I had a falling out with my mom. It was just like, I cannot fail. I have to prove to them that even though I'm not at home, I can be as successful as them. And with doing hair and makeup, like, I needed to prove to them hair and makeup is going to get me money, even though you guys said that it wouldn't. And at that moment, from the moment that I left my parents' house at the age of 20 to literally up till now, I'm 33 now, so that's 13 years. I mean, I'm much better now, but I lived my life trying to prove to my parents that yes, I can do and make as much as you guys make doing hair and makeup, and not having a degree in being a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. And that was something that really, really took a toll on me, because most of the time people say, their why is, to make myself happy and things like that. But mine was more so, to prove my parents wrong. But I'm so happy that now, I had to realize that and come to terms with the fact that my parents, no matter what, will be proud of me as long as I am successful. And not only just that, but I need to be proud of myself and be doing something that makes me happy. Like, my happiness comes first, which leads me to the next thing. Prioritize yourself and change your mindset. Now, let me say this to myself because I need to remind myself.
Prioritize myself and change my mindset.
Prioritize myself and change my mindset. So, let's see, at the top of the pandemic, let's go back to 2020. I know that we all were not expecting to be on a lockdown tongue tied, where we would be sitting at home for months on end. And of course, me as a hairstylist / makeup artist, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot work behind the chair. What am I going to do to make money? Right? And then also having to sit down made me have that come to Jesus moment, like, oh my God, I needed this break. Like, why didn't I do this earlier? So the first month of the lockdown, I literally did nothing. I did nothing. Zilch. Zero. I took care of myself. And by taking care of myself, I meant sleep. So my fiance was like, I'm so glad that you got this chance to sit down, because my fiance, he was an essential worker, so he had to work, and I was at home with the kids. So he was all for me being home. Of course, you know, that also meant that I was the one homeschooling the kids, so he knew what he was doing. But anyway, it was definitely epiphany for me. And that was when I knew, you know what? The structure that I have in my business at this moment is not what I wanted for myself. It's not what I thought or envisioned for myself when I decided to become a hairstylist and a makeup artist. Like, that wasn't it. So now it's time for me to restructure my business. I can no longer be overconsumed with work. And then, let's backtrack it. I met my fiance when my daughter was 3. I had my daughter with her father, a previous relationship before my now fiance. And her father was incarcerated when she was about 22 months. So she was about to be 2. She was 2 months shy of turning 2 years old. So once he got incarcerated and everything got taken, cards were taken, they cleared my bank account, I was like, it's time. I mean, if I didn't work before, I was working now, okay? Because no, I had literally lost everything, and I mean everything. So now, not only was I working from a place of perfectionism and trying to prove to my parents that I can make it, but now I was working from a place of, I have nothing. I am homeless. I have a child, and I have got to get everything I had back plus more. So I found myself like literally just working to the point where my daughter was coming to work with me, and she was sitting there with me all of the hours because I didn't have anybody to watch her. And with the hours that I wanted to have so that I could take as many clients as I could, I was like, oh, she's just gonna have to come with me and stay with me. So for the years, well, it was like about 1.5 years or so before I met my fiance. During that 1.5 years, I had plans before her father got incarcerated for me and her to like travel the world. I was going to be this type of mom where, you know, we were going to go to Disney World by the time she turned 2, and she was going to travel to all the states and stuff. And me and her were going on me dates. I did none of that just because I was so consumed by work. And I was just so gung-ho to prove that I can make it. And it's to the point where now that I'm even talking about it, I don't even really remember much because I was working from a place of fear. Like, I can't be a failure. I cannot prove my parents right. I cannot, like, I can't, this is not me. But I made it look so good. No one even knew that I was struggling. No one knew that I was struggling because I was such a worker. So a lot of the times when I look back, it makes me kind of sad because I didn't get to really spend and create memories with my daughter in those first 3 years of her life, because the first year was kind of tumultuous, you know, with me being with her father and all the things that he was into and all of that stuff, and the things that trying to get on our feet, you know, it was my first relationship living with, you know, a partner, and, you know, he was back and forth losing jobs. So it's like the first 3 years of her life, me and her, I remember it, but I don't really remember because I didn't really have the chance to create memories, because between, you know, my personal life and working so much to sustain my household, because, you know, I was the breadwinner the first year of life before her father got incarcerated. And then for the next 2 years of her life, it was just me and her. And I'm like, I have got to make things work out for me and her. I just was working. So I really don't remember much. So that's one thing that I will say has traumatized me now, and I'm talking to a therapist about it, is just the fact that, you know, now I have another baby and me and him get to spend so much time together. And, you know, because I've changed my life around as far as like balancing work and life, you know, I get to create those memories with him. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't get to create these memories with my baby. But that's neither here or there. Now me and her are going to create new memories. She's 7 years old, and I cannot wait to, you know, create those memories with her, but then also teach her, you know, this new mindset that I'm cultivating, that yes, it's very good to have a good work ethic and to work hard, but life does trump work. Say it with me, guys. Life does trump work, okay? Let's all keep that in mind. As hairstylists, makeup artists, beauticians, whatever, entrepreneurs, we have that mentality where, you know, we don't want to work a 9 to 5, but then here we are finding ourselves working a 24/7. We're not doing that anymore. We are not doing that anymore. So like I said, you know, the second step was finding the root of the cause as to why I was working so much. And that root was, you know, like I said, my parents, just to, you know, reiterate everything, my parents, losing everything and becoming homeless, and then trying to provide a life for my daughter that I knew I wanted her to have, that I never even really ended up giving her in her first 3 years of life. All right, now things are getting kind of much. Let's get on to the next one. So the next step that I have been taking to, you know, be better with work-life balance is prioritizing myself and changing my mindset, right? Prioritizing myself and changing my mindset. Ciao. So as you guys can see, I went in with a highlighter that was closer to my shade so that I could, you know, create uniformity in my skin. And I'm going in with a shade that's lighter. And they are both like matte finishes, including my foundation that I used, which is why I hydrated so much at the beginning, because I do have dry skin. And in order for, you know, this matte finish to sit well on my skin needs to be highly hydrated. So that's a makeup tip for you guys in the midst of my story. But yes, number 3 is prioritize myself and change my mindset. So when 2020 hit, the pandemic hit, right? Just gonna let this sit for a little bit, because the key to making sure that your concealer has good coverage is letting it stick and get tacky on your skin. Remember I told you that. So, yes, at the top of 2020, you know, the pandemic hit, right? So at that moment, because I was like, all right, what am I gonna do to make money since I can't work behind the chair? Since of course, you know, I had that mindset that I needed to work to make money. I was like, I have to figure this out. I got to do something to make money while we are sitting here on this lockdown. So I invested in business coaching, and it's one of the best things I ever did in my life. If you watched my last video, I said the same thing there. And that's something that I do highly recommend when it comes to creating a work-life balance for yourself. If you don't know how, the first way to start is by investing in a business mentor or a business coach. The reason why I say that is because they are able to facilitate and show you how they were able to do so. So it doesn't take you a couple of more years to figure it out. They have the blueprint right there. There's no need to guess about it. The guesswork is out. It's like right there. They literally are showing you what you need to do to automate your work so that it no longer is interfering and consuming with your personal life, or over consuming your personal life, I should say. So I invested in business coaching, invested, I could not talk today, invested in business mentoring. So I was able to learn that I needed to work on my mindset. No more limiting beliefs, no more working from a place of scarcity, which meant I was working so hard because I just felt like I could never go back to that homeless place, that homeless state, or, you know, losing everything that I ever had. So that was one of the reasons why I was always working. Automating my business. I can't tell you the amount of help that automating my business has done. You know, implementing the techniques that I learned have definitely helped me to see a change in my business and been able to help me be less hands-on in my business and trading less time for money. So I've been also reading more self-help books, personal development books, watching videos on YouTube, just all to change my mindset about things in business, personal life, and then also working on my health. We all know as hairstylists, we will work all day long, not eat. We will work all day long and not eat, then binge eat, not work out, gain weight, stay up all night, work all day. Like, we have the worst wellness habits. So that was something that I also had to keep in mind, or that I had to change, I should say, about myself, was my health habits, wellness habits, mindset, mental, oh my God, paying more attention to my mental health. Because one thing that a Black woman will do is pretend like everything is okay. And I had to finally admit, I am not okay. I had to finally admit that I was not okay. So, setting powder. I had to finally admit that I wasn't okay. And with me doing that and accepting that everything was not okay, I was able to forgive myself for the past mistakes that I had made. And I made plenty of them. And I'm sure you have too. Another makeup tip, if you're gonna use a brush or anything for that matter, makeup sponge, a puff, pick up your product and kind of smooth it on your hand first so that you take off that excess product, and then press that powder into your skin. So like I was saying, because I was able to forgive myself for the past mistakes that I had made, for working so hard and not wanting to admit that there was an issue, I was able to move on and take the necessary steps to change my life. All right, you guys, I am back with the final look and we're going to get back to business. So we're just going to reiterate the 4 steps that I took to regulate my work-life balance. The first step definitely is accepting that I even had an issue with work-life balance. So I had to take responsibility in knowing that I was just overworking myself. I was overconsumed in work and it was time for me to make a change. Step 2, digging deep and finding out what was the root cause of me diving into work so much, staying into work so much, prioritizing work over my personal life. I really had to do that in order for me to take the next step, which was prioritizing myself. So the next step as far as prioritizing myself includes changing my mindset, putting myself first, then that leads into the next final step, which is taking the necessary steps for change. And that included working on mindset, which was investing in business education, reading personal health books, binging YouTube videos that were inspirational, motivational, podcasts, and things like that. I've also implemented calendaring. So I calendar every part of my life now. Creating boundaries between me and my clients. I'm no longer answering my phone outside of my business hours or taking clients outside of my business hours, because outside of my business hours, I'm now prioritizing my personal life, my kids, my fiance, me. I should have said that first. Me should be first, okay? Because in order for me to pour into everyone else, I need to be able to pour into myself first. So those are the 4 steps, and I'm so excited that you guys are here and you guys are loving all the content. You guys, be sure to like and subscribe for more. The next video, we're going to go into a makeup tutorial because I know you guys want to get into, the technical side of things. I cannot wait to get into that. You guys, be sure to share videos with those that you believe will also be inspired and motivated by what we're talking about today. So see you guys soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I already said that.